Nation of Fit in 10, it is day 63, 7 days to go, exactly 10% left. 10% is 10%. You got to keep going, hard, sprint, finish this thing with all of your best effort, right? Okay, I'm going to hop right into your feedback, but first, if you've not booked your scan, please make sure you do so. www.calendly.com /train on Maine. I posted it in the Slack group. Okay, so again, www.calendly.com train on Maine. All one word, of course. All right, so yesterday I went through some feedback, and somebody was asking me about, is it a good idea to weigh yourself every day or not? And so I just wanted to remind you guys, if you are weighing yourself, or if you care to keep track of your body weight, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, and somebody else just asked me this today, in fact, measure your weight, so do it daily, but take the average for the week. So weigh yourself every day, then add up that weight, so your 7 days of the week, add up whatever number you weighed each of those days, and then divide it by 7. That will be your weekly average weight. That is the weight that you're going to go by for each week, and then you can compare it to the week after and the week after, etc., okay? That will give you a better measure in terms of what's going on. But today, I had somebody come in, one of my clients, and she was quite upset. And she's a newer client, and she gained some weight. Okay, she gained some weight. She went from 145 to 151. And I've been trying to get her on the right train to diet, but it's a lot for people, right? It's a lot to, just enter the gym, get on a program, train 3 times a week, or whatever you're training. She's training with me about 3 times per week. Do a diet, some people can only take so much, right? So, this is one reason why I give the warning with the challenge, because it is a big undertaking. Anyways, she's been gaining weight. She hasn't really been eating well, she said. And so she went and she crash dieted for 2 days. When I say crash dieted, she wasn't eating anything, just drinking coffee and then having a small meal at night. So she's I think she said she's eating like maybe 700 calories per day. I said, okay, listen, let's go and do a scan. We're due for a scan anyways. So we ran a scan on her, and we did one at the beginning, of course. And sure enough, she had dropped a little bit of water because, she crash dieted. That's what happens when you crash diet. But overall, her weight was still up. Okay. Her weight was still up by 3 pounds. She had gained 3 pounds of muscle, and she had lost 3 pounds of fat. Overall, her body water was still up, which would explain the difference in weight. And her body fat percentage dropped by over 2%. So, your weight doesn't necessarily tell you everything, right? This is the thing, right? Because obviously when you're going to the gym, when you're trying to lose weight, you're really trying to lose body fat. You have no interest in losing limbs, right? You don't want to cut off a limb, right? Because you'll lose weight that way. Obviously, you don't want to do that. You don't really want to, take away from your bones, right? You don't want to lose bone density. That doesn't really make any sense, right? You don't want to be, just, walking around and all of a sudden you break a bone because you have your bones are so brittle, right? Obviously, you certainly don't want to lose muscle mass, right? I mean, your muscles are what enable you to stand up, right? If you didn't have muscle mass, you just crumble to the floor. So ultimately what we're talking about here is we want to lose body fat, right? And your weight doesn't always reflect this, especially if you come to weight train. If you're coming into weight train, which is obviously what you're doing if you're training with me, whether it's in class or personally. So your weight is not a good indicator of this, all right? So it's just one measure. It's something you may want to, keep an eye on perhaps, but if you really want to know, come get a scan, okay? All right, more feedback here. I've not read this, so let's just see here. Name something specific you can improve upon for the following week. Still working on meeting my macros every single meal. There is still one meal during the week where I don't follow my macros, so I just don't track my macros for that meal, and I have no idea how much my macros I've overeaten. Okay, so this could be dangerous. This could be very dangerous, right? Because listen, if you have, I don't know what you're eating, okay, but when I have my, I mean, I'm assuming you're not doing this, and this person that's writing this is a very small person. But, like when I was having my cheat meals, it's very easy for me to have 2,500 or 3,000 calories in that one meal. Divide that by 7. That's an extra 300 or 400 calories on average per day, right? That's a huge chunk, right? That takes my average calories per day up over 10%. I just added 10% every day of calories, okay? So you gotta be very careful with this. Name something specific you need help with. Nothing. I just need to focus on the challenge and not give up. You will not give up. Is there anything you would like me to cover in this week's video series? Can you get the same fat loss results by only doing cardiovascular conditioning sessions, or are resistance-based workouts the key to fat loss? This is a huge question, and there was a big article that was in I think it was Vancouver Sun. One of my clients brought it in about this, and so there's so many nuances to this. It's, the article was, I think it was a meta-analysis of 149 studies, okay? And I'll tell you what it said. It said that overall for fat loss, cardiovascular work is the best. That weight training wasn't as good, okay? And but ultimately, you want to, and obviously they didn't talk about diet. They just basically compared the two, and they said from these studies, and it wasn't that every study showed this, but most of the studies did show this. Okay, but to me, there's just so many nuances with this, right? Like, especially with time frame, right? Like, over what period of time? So I've always told you guys, I've been saying this for years, that for long-term fat loss, for long-term weight, for long-term fat management, let's be specific here, long-term fat management, you want to weight train. Okay? So, when you look at cardiovascular work, I've always said this too, in the short term, cardiovascular will get you more results when it comes to fat loss because it's more energy consuming. But as you do your weight training over time, you're building more lean mass, not just muscle mass, bone mass, and this requires more energy to just maintain. So as you go through time, you're going to be building that engine that's going to be, chewing through energy. With cardio, this is an energy consuming process. Purely, there's no side to it where it's building lean mass. Okay? So, through time, doing cardio, you're not going to build muscle mass from doing cardio, okay? If anything, you're going to lose muscle mass, all right? Especially if you go from weight training to not weight training and just doing cardio. So when you think about cardio over long term, you're certainly not building muscle mass, which I just mentioned. You're not building bone density, all right? So what are the long-term implications of this? I don't know. We'd have to see, to be honest with you. What do I think, for what it's worth? I still think that obviously a combination of the two. This is why I have you do this. And by the way, if I'm doing a bodybuilding show, or I've got a client that's doing a bodybuilding show, and so they need to get the fat off of them, what are they doing a lot of? They're doing a lot of cardio, okay? Because we need to expend energy. But as a long-term strategy, you need to be weight training, okay? I think you should be weight training. You need to be doing something to build up your to maintain and build up your BMR. Cardio, especially lots of it, is only going to reduce your BMR. Well, okay, that's actually not true. It's only going to reduce your, well, yeah, I guess that might be true, depending on how we want to define BMR, okay? But so as we know BMR, that would be true, because we're going to be reducing over time, we will definitely be reducing the lean body mass, okay? Just look at any long distance athlete. Look at their body type. Look at their muscle mass, okay? Look at their bone density. All right, so this is a very, very good question. And again, I'm giving you my opinion on this, okay? So could I be wrong? Certainly I could be wrong. But based on what I know, I think long-term, like I've always said, long-term fat loss management, keeping fat off, you want to weight train. You want to weight train. You want to be doing the activity that is going to build up your bone mass, your muscle mass, okay? I'm already at 10 minutes. Okay, can I get through another one here? By the way, I'm on entry 13, okay? So I'm getting down. Name something specific you can improve on for the following week. I've been getting lazy and only doing the minimum number of cardio sessions. Next week, I am aiming to do at least 4 cardio sessions. Okay. Name something specific you need help with. My knees seem to be getting worse, and I struggle with leg days, especially if I have to do jump squats. Not sure if this is because I'm not stretching enough. Okay. Well, all right. Okay, let me just say this. If your knees are bothering you, you may want to avoid impact. Okay, so you may want to avoid the jumping and that type of thing. I guess my next question for you would be is how do your knees feel when you are doing a stationary loaded movement, right? Like a squat or lunge or something like that. Okay, could stretching help with this? It's possible. Stretching helps relieve any pain I have in my joints to a certain degree, but it's not, it's something I have to upkeep and do, basically every day. So let me know on that, okay? Is there anything you'd like me to cover in this week's video series? What stretches do you recommend that we should always do at the beginning and end of each lift camp? Okay, I'll go through that, I think, next day, okay? So let's get the message of the day. All right, so listen up. Along the road to success, you can expect bumps, hurdles, breakdowns, mini failures, and moments where you feel like you want to give up. That is normal on the road to success. Even little breaks. Okay? But the key is to have a plan. The key is to not give up, right? To not, these breaks might be, something like a week. You might say, okay, I just need a week, and next week I'm going to get started. Hopefully you will, right? The point is often certain things can happen to us and we might believe that we're just not cut out for something, and this is just not true at all. Very rarely does somebody go ahead and try to, and I'm going to say probably almost never, does somebody work towards something, especially something of any great endeavor, and they just coast right through it, okay? Generally, they encounter many situations that test them, okay? That test them, and may lead one to believe that they're not cut out to do what they're trying to do. But this is just not the case, okay? This is simply not the case. This is just what's to be expected anytime you're doing something. Expect, especially if it's something that you've struggled with, right? Struggling is normal when you're working. Struggling in and of itself is what happens when you're working towards success. It is a struggle. That's why very few are successful in, some of these bigger endeavors, right? Because people just ultimately give up. Your will is huge. Your will dictates so many things in your life. I really believe that. Okay. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself. For love, God, give some gratitude. I'll talk to you all very soon. See you guys.